They say, okay, don't worry about the logic of time travel and the paradox that it creates. Like, okay, yeah, that's good. But towards the end, it becomes more about the paradoxes of time travel, and so they're pointing out, it's like, hey, don't look at this rip in my jeans while you're pointing to the rip in your jeans. I don't have a problem with them doing that. Just that you got to make the character arc work, and I just don't feel like it really worked for that film.
Yes, it is what it is.
Yes, it is what it is, and what it is, what it isn't, and what it and also what's a really good movie? Source Code, because that's an alternate timeline sort of universe, same like along the lines of Back to the Future, and I'd really recommend it. It's Jake Gyllenhaal and Duncan Jones, who did Moon, which was really fantastic. Like if you want to see like a really good science fiction director writer who hasn't really messed up yet, because like I felt that way with Neil Blomkamp and the director of Oblivion, who did Tron Legacy. Like I like those guys, but their second attempts were kind of subpar. This is the guy who had like a really good first attempt and then even did a better second attempt. So check out Source Code.
Yeah, Source Code is good.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff there. And speaking of good stuff, episode 142 is some good stuff that is expected to come as we progress onto the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Splitter47 here, joining you once again, and also with my co-host extraordinaire, C.H. Gorog.
Hey, howdy.
It is August 26th. I almost forgot the date. So it's a good old-fashioned Monday afternoon here. And
yes, it is.
We're just I have not kept up with much news, and I don't think there is really much going on, unless you probably did more research than I did. But we definitely got some things to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
Many, two being the major releases of last week.
Yes,
good old Saints Row 4 and Splinter Cell Blacklist.
As some people, would point out, probably the last big releases of the summer, and I fortunately got some money from Odd Jobs to pick them up, and I gotta say, this is one hell of a way to end the summer. I can't even remember what the rest of the summer was, but Splinter Cell and Blacklist and Saints Row 4, both were very good for very different reasons, and I'd like to get into that in a little while.
Most definitely. So, I guess those two major things that we could definitely talk about, and I'm not sure if you have anything in terms of what's going on in the news of gaming here. I know we touch on little news topics here and there. We definitely get into a little bit of that, or we could just dive right in already. Probably could spend a good hour or maybe two, who knows, talking about the two major releases here.
I would say that let's first try to get whatever little bits of news that there are out of the way, just so that we can really delve into the big topics of both Splinter Cell Blacklist as well as Saints Row 4.
Good man.
And of course the Bureau, which nobody really wants to celebrate because that one was just like that just got dumped right out there.
Which is a shame. I like the presentation of it, and it seemed like it had some potential. Like I like the time period and it's a little bit of the gameplay. I mean, the look of it was like the art design looked good, but yeah, like
it was the 50s. Men were wearing hats back then. I love it. That's
why I like it. The good old fedora and suit and tie, and you're good to go. And that's all. Yeah. That's all the attire you need to fight aliens.
Yeah, pretty much. Like everyone on the set of Mad Men could basically just if they just heard the next day, okay, we're fighting aliens, they'd be like, all right, well, let's just finish off the cigarette and this glass of bubbly, and let's head on out, and then they'll be ready. Not now. We would need to get ready. We need to get prepared. We need a speech from Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith before jetting on off. I'm sorry, and Bill Pullman as the president before jetting on off. But back then we were just all right, let's get shit done, and they got shit done.
Is that as epic as that sounded? The actual execution of it wasn't as epic as our just immediate excitement of just the going into the 50s and shooting up aliens. It's definitely a different departure from I guess what from XCOM being the kind of isometric turn-based strategy games. This is a bit more, I guess, slightly strategy, but it's more like third person.
Yeah, it's third person cover system sort of thing.
Yeah,
where it's very, very strange in terms of just. It was originally a prequel to the XCOM series, then XCOM Enemies Unknown, was it?
Yeah,
the recent one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where it was that one was released and everybody loved that one, and then no one gave a shit about the new sort of XCOM, and so they tried to make it okay, we're going to make it into an alternate universe. We're still going to have the XCOM name to it. And even though they try to separate it, it's still a pretty not good game from pretty much all the outlets. I haven't played it myself, but I don't have all the money yet to acquire that one, just because I wanted to actually pay $60 for something I kind of knew would be a better bet for what it would be for which one would be quality.
Yes,
and then And then, it did not do too hot, and, I'm really not surprised.
From early footage I saw, it looked like it had potential, but I guess because it being early footage and me not really looking into it as much, it didn't seem like it lived up to the XCOM name. Even to the extent that it's almost a disgrace to the XCOM series here.
Yeah, it's one of these weird rebranding things for franchises like Syndicate. Was it Trials of Triad? And it's really, really strange how they're trying to reinvent all these franchises into popular mediums, but it's just not taking hold. I don't they haven't made Secrets of Monkey Island into an action game, or they haven't made, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a really old. They haven't made Tetris Portal-esque game, first-person shooter game. It's so strange how they're so desperate. I can understand with Hollywood how they do reboots and rebrandings and everything, and when they try to do it in the video game world, it's strange how they also try to change the genre in how it's presented to make it more appealing, but the original appeal was not in that genre. So you have this weird sort of disconnect of the original fans and new fans who don't know the IP, and they just can never get them together,
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind completely rebranding of the series, but if you're gonna make an attempt at least try to go in as hard as you can there. But it seemed like it was just kind of a lackluster attempt at a cover-based shooter, just with the name XCOM on it, hoping that it will sell some copies due to the success of the recent turn-based strategy XCOM.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, it did not work out. That's from 2K Marine, right? Didn't they?
Yep.
They work on Mafia 2 there.
Yeah, they worked on Mafia 2, and they also did BioShock 2, and my gosh, there is just these guys really can't seem to catch a break. Even BioShock 2, I really enjoyed BioShock 2. I think it's a perfect companion piece to the first one, and it still got shat on for not being as inventive and original as the first one. And now with Mafia 2, yeah, kind of like, okay, now we're going to do something else. It was still well received, but then there was like criticisms like, oh, why do they have an open world if it's not an open world? It's like, well, they're just trying to convey a setting, and then after that, with this one, yeah, I just think like 2K Marin's probably like the whipping boy of the 2K industry. You have Rational Games like making like all these other games that everyone like loves, and then 2K Marin's like, oh, they're like the step, like the younger brother of like the big guy. Like, why can't you be like your older brother?
Yeah, that seems to be where they've fallen into at the moment. And yeah, I mean, Mafia 2 wasn't too bad. I quite enjoyed it. It doesn't have much replay value for me. Like you mentioned, they just have it's like LA Noire. They have this open world just so you can further engage yourself into that world. Like the opening for that game was really good. Like when you're driving in the snow, that was a good opening for that game.
Yeah,
that's where the open world actually helped the game. Hello.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mafia 2. That was the one where it's like, okay, the presentation and story came before everything else.
Yeah.
And with like, even though like the gameplay wasn't that engaging in terms of replay value, it was still pretty good. Smorgasbord of offerings, but it still was not like I would compare it to kind of Spec Ops: The Line, where it was, the gameplay in Spec Ops: The Line was kind of mediocre, but it was the presentation and story that were great. But being a $60 price tag, there's not going to be a whole lot of people who are going to pay shell out that much money for it if there's not a whole lot of replay value.
Exactly. I mean, it's definitely, I would say it's worth a pickup now. It's pretty cheap nowadays. You'd probably get it for at least less than $10 if you look at the right place. So it's definitely if you're looking for
a Game of the Year version of it.
Yeah, Game of the Year has all the DLC. I never played any of that DLC there, like Joe's Revenge, and then there's another DLC there.
Yeah, it's like the Irish.
Yeah, you played as a different character there. I think it was like he was a hitman or something to that effect. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a pretty decent enough, kind of linear story experience there, that's definitely worth checking out. If you're, a fan of like monster movies, there's definitely wet your whistle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It certainly is one of those games where you get, where it is following along the long tradition of mafia of stories like Godfather and Goodfellas and American Gangster, where it's like, okay, just see crime and the eventual like rise and downfall of the individual as they get into this. Like, there's never a mafia story where it's like, oh, he joined crime and then everything was okay. It's like, no, he joined crime and then everything was terrible.
It's almost like a precautionary tale.
Yes. I'd absolutely agree, and the cautionary tale stuff, like, that's always good. But speaking of that, it makes me think about Grand Theft Auto 5 and just the more recent stuff that we have with
multiplayer.
Yeah, the multiplayer stuff looks fantastic, and I gotta say, I'll talk about this other thing later that I'm a little bit wary about. But
sure.
The offering that they have for multiplayer looks incredible. That it's robbing banks together, committing heists, and just the amount of freedom and activities that you can do is just fantastic.
Yeah, and also like being able to really get into it. Like there's a lot of things a lot of moving parts within that online multiplayer in regards to just like this reputation system. If you go ahead and try to steal someone's car, like if you have your you don't have to worry about people stealing your car if you purchase it within the online community, which is really cool. And if it ends up getting like damaged, you can replace it with I think another car. It's a lot of things going on in that online multiplayer. So much to the point where it seems like just a single player campaign is going to be like a good introduction to the multiplayer. Like they're holding off the multiplayer launch until the 2 weeks after the game comes out. So you're not even going to be able to play it online until 2 weeks after the game comes out.
Really?
Yeah, that's how they have it set up. So far, I just found out.
Wow, they certainly have some that's an interesting setup. I've never heard of that one before. The only other time I think that I've ever heard about a game not launching a multiplayer component that's been known for was SimCity, and we kind of already know how that one turned out. And that was kind of not really at its own choosing. And once again, that being said, I'm really curious as to how the next iteration of the Grand Theft Auto series will go, because I did not like Grand Theft Auto 4, as we've discussed God knows how many times, and how many times have I brought it up, I don't know. But it seems like they're trying to go for the more crass humor, and I also want to tie this into the Saints Row 4 series,
sure,
where they seem to be because there hasn't been too many trailers actually distributing the actual dialogue and story of the entire event, but I'm sorry, the entire Grand Theft Auto 5 story arc, but it seems like they're still going for that kind of low crass humor in a very serious world. And Saints Row 4, I would have to say, they make attempts. There's obviously some low crass humor in there, and there's vulgarity and just kind of lower common denominator sort of jokes. But wow, they also make an entire series of jokes about Jane Austen and about Jane Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver, who no one in this generation would ever remember. It's so interesting how they become like more and more sophisticated as they become more and more associated with the vulgarity and lower crass stuff that they've kind of been associated with.
Yeah, that's definitely that definitely shows more in Saints Row 4 that the writing has gotten a lot tighter, and there isn't a lot of this kind of humor that kind of leaves you scratching your head. Is like, why did they have to put this in here? Like it was like a really cheap joke, but it's like most of it, like most of the humor and just the dialogue in 4 is really well done. It's like they really put a lot of work into like making every interaction and just every joke possible like actually means something. Like they actually put some really hard work into it, and just something as as simple as maybe throwing a meme out or something like that.
Yeah, and they are incredibly rapid fire about it. Like they'll have a joke and they'll immediately drop it. Where there's been sort of these generalizations of humor of American and British sort of archetypes of humor, and one of them for the British is that they'll take a joke and then they'll run it into the ground. They'll repeatedly use that joke and then just build upon it. And then for the American sort of comedy, which I sort of prefer, which is the one and done sort of thing, where it's a fire, like a really funny joke, and then they'll immediately drop it for another joke. And which is why I love His Girl Friday, which is a Cary Grant film where it's absolutely hilarious because they keep on thinking of new jokes and they don't rely on the old ones. And the same thing with the Saints Row series, where even though they kind of reuse motifs or settings, they never reuse jokes, and they always think of new funny situations to get the entire gang into. And I'd love for one of the I don't know if this is a big spoiler, so maybe cover your ears, but you go to a certain period of time where you need to free the people by using dubstep. And and I just wow, that's really creative. Just okay, music will free you from your shackles, yeah. And it is wow. Yeah, that's just incredible.
I think it may be a better time than ever to discuss some Saints Row 4.
Absolutely. There's no question in my books. Yeah, Saints Row is. Let's. I would say let's talk about some Saints Row.
Some good old Saints Row. Yeah, I do recall that level you're talking about. There are a lot of these kind of it being it's hard, I guess, to set it up with the story. Like an alien invasion goes on, so after that kind of happens, you just you're put in a situation where you kind of have to go into pretty much like the Matrix, so you into these So it's pretty much a simulation of Steelport. So it gives Volition a lot of leeway to go ahead and just make it as convenient as possible to get around the city and from place to place, because it just, ends up being a simulation. And I think this is what really helps this game, because getting around in open world games is never fun. But like in Saints Row 4, it's like I have no problem getting from place to place, and then in the process, I'm always just getting distracted before I even get to from one end to the other. But inclusion of these superpowers, you can super sprint to the location with ease. Like you don't even I barely used a car in that game, and I just I did a lot of the side quests to just upgrade the powers. With Saints Row, you get the power to sprint and to basically glide to your locations. And one of the biggest problems I've always had with open world games is that, like, if you need to get across the city and it's not convenient for you to like run all the way, especially if you get like tired, and you don't have a fast traveling system, it's going to be a big pain in the ass. Especially if you have to if the fast traveling system is like a taxi cab, which costs in-game money, and then you don't want to do that because you're wasting money. And with this game, you get the powers to just like jump like the Incredible Hulk and then kind of glide to your location like a flying squirrel. And this works incredibly. Like, and of course, kind of almost to its detriment, because you never use an actual car. You always use, like, unless you're having like one of those loyalty quote unquote missions with your buddies, kind of like Mass Effect style, where they they have a personal sort of mission that they want you to be a part of, and after completing it they get special bonuses. With the regular sort of game, you have the ability to glide and jump and navigate throughout the entire city, and there's almost a new appreciation for Steelport by being able to have that much power, where it's the same map as from Saints Row the Third, but the difference is that now it's kind of overtaken with alien sort of propaganda and alien sort of architecture around the entire city, and it changes a lot, and you do feel this invasion of privacy if you played the previous Saints Row game. And what I love about it is that it combines all of the best stuff from kind of this current generation of gaming in terms of like really popular stuff like romance options and dialogue and getting to know your NPCs a lot better. I love the dialogue options, how it's not even like a dialogue system where you have to continually talk to them until you get the romance option. It's just like, hey, do you want to have intercourse? And then you have intercourse. And it is just outstanding. And I like the fact that it's a game inside of a game. And I'm not going to go Adam Sessler, I'm not going to turn this into a whole topic like, oh, what does it really mean? Like, this existential crisis, like, no, dude, I love you. I think you're one of the smartest people around, but pump the brakes there, Charlie. You all right? You're looking too much into it.
Yeah, and that kind of goes the same with Splinter Cell, but I'll get to that one in a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot going on in Saints Row that it's for those who are worried it was just a kind of this DLC would add on that like it's just going to be not a very long campaign, but there's a lot going on in that game. You can sink your teeth in with hours. Like when I first played it, I spent a good 6 hours doing side quests. I didn't even do the main stuff, and which was like one of the things I didn't like having to do. I don't know if it was Saints Row 3 or 2, but like you had to do the side quests in order to progress to the main story. But with what was it? Was it 3?
It was. I think it was 2. 3 got rid of that one, but it was. You upgraded. It was like 3 was a really weird in between point. I love 3, and I think it's still a lot of fun. But it does have those weird tendencies. Like if you get like enough money and you can get like new abilities, like some of them render you invulnerable, and it doesn't really fit. It doesn't gel too well within the gameplay, even if you want to feel like incredibly empowered. It just feels way too game breaking almost. Like there are points where you can get like the maximum amount of ammo and not fall down after explosions go off near you. And Saints Row the Third, it was really weird. Like, okay, you can trick out your pad with like different places, but it felt really added on. Whereas this one, it strips away everything. Where you can save anywhere, but your real home base is in the quote unquote real world, where you're jacking into the system and then going in there.
Yeah,
and it's just it's so. I like the fact that there's this freedom of like saying like, okay, we have this now narrative excuse to do whatever we want, instead of like I find it really interesting how they have the narrative excuse of saying like, okay, now that you have superpowers, you can do this in kind of whatever context. You could have these crazy abilities, and they also, it's funny because like even for a game franchise known for kind of the power fantasy, it doesn't really start out that way. Where like the first thing you do, like after the first level, where okay, like that's definitely a power fantasy, where you're just like you're stopping a terrorist plot from destroying America, and then the next scene is you're the president, and it's not like, oh yeah, things are going great. It goes like, yeah, things are going terrible because you are an awful president, and the thing you just started enacting, yeah, it's not really panning out, and your approval rating is at 20%, and I just find it funny that like they have enough sense and sensibilities to actually make a very compelling story and not making it just like pandering down to what people expect.
Yeah, it's a fantasy, but at the same time it isn't. Like it's some of the stuff that like you don't completely kind of, people don't all of a sudden give you a nice hoorah about it. Like there's some logic behind it, and also some kind of reasoning behind, I guess, why people think you're a terrible president. But at least you get things done and cause a lot of havoc. But like I mentioned with the side quests, I like doing the side quests because you also it also kind of helps you upgrade your powers, and you can also get a different like costumes or weapons out of them. Those are always fun to do, and also they're kind of slightly separate from the main story. Kind of some of the side quests and also loyalty missions you'll end up doing. It'll give you kind of more interaction with all the different Saints Row characters, and also you get to replay almost all the missions from 1 to 3 in some capacity, which is pretty nice, and it makes you appreciate how far it's come from the level you're replaying till now. Because I remember replaying the mission from Saints Row 2, which I hated completely, but it played a lot better on 4. It's like, oh, this is good.
Is it the one with Marrow?
It wasn't Marrow. It was with Shaundi. The fun Shaundi, as they call her.
Yeah, it and also because of how they narratively explain the entire world. They can have different versions of Shaundi. They bring back a couple of characters who were dead, but it's so interesting to see this seems to be like the big final hurrah for this franchise, because after the credits roll, I'm not sure where the hell else they can go with this franchise, because they're like, okay, we have this sort of intergalactic stuff now, like maybe intergalactic sort of conquering Saints, who knows? But not to try to spoil the ending, but there is something else that they bring up that's like, wow, that could be interesting too. But they could easily go in the wrong direction. But it's like the greatest hits, and they also got like these audio logs of different characters in the franchise, and like talking about like what they were thinking about how they developed as characters, and it is really compelling. And even really characters who I grew to hate in Saints Row the Third, like Matt Miller, I was like, oh, you son of a bitch, I can't wait till I lay the smack down on you. He comes back, and he actually becomes like a really interesting character, especially how he's basically like a Agent Phil Coulson fanboy for Nightblade, which is the kind of like the Saints Row version of, I guess, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Supernatural, where it's just like this cult show that's really popular with its fans, but like everyone's like, oh, this is just a stupid vampire show. It's like, no, you don't realize how great it is.
Oh yeah, he goes into a whole diatribe about how fans should keep a show like that alive, and with fan fiction and all that. That was some good stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's the best. I would say it's almost to the level of like what the Citadel DLC did for Mass Effect. It's almost like really complete fanfare for Saints Row. Like if you liked all the games and you stuck with them since like the first one, which It references a lot of the whole series there, like from almost everything from the first till now. It gets referenced, and you replay levels in some capacity, and just a lot of that has to do with just reliving those memories you had with the past games, and also it definitely draws from a lot of games like Mass Effect in terms of its storytelling, and also you have the way you interact with characters, and they make it work in the world of Saints Row. And it's a lot of everything there. For like the Matrix, like there's Crackdown and Mass Effect. They Live reference is awesome.
Yep, and it's like I love the fact that we have Keith David, who played the character of Julius in Saints Row 1 and 2, and then in this one everyone just like, yeah, you're pretty much Julius, and he's like, it's only like thinly veiled, like even if that, it's like, I am not Julius. For the last time, I am not Julius. And then in the end he's like, okay, you know what, there are maybe some similarities to me. And it's funny because they get back a lot of characters, even for bit parts, like Josh Burke and the characters of Josh Burke and Oleg, who were featured fairly prominently in Saints Row the Third. Really, like they don't have a huge influence in this game, but they still have enough time to actually bring back the voice actors and give them something to do, even just for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's incredible because they even get like Neil Patrick Harris back as a veteran child from Saints Row 2, and it's just like, wow, you guys really, really focus on getting people in there, even if it's just like for a little while. They bring Roddy Piper in, and it's like, okay, you know what? Like you only need to stop at like the They Live references for like, okay, it's the. You can see what's going on in the reality of aliens kind of taking over, but you actually bring in Roddy Piper and you have him talk to Keith David for a little while. It's like that is incredible.
And pretty much reenact the scene of They Live when they beat the shit out of each other.
They are just. I would like it. I really wonder what Volition and Deep Silver are going to do next, because these writers are just absolutely outstanding, and they get even just small parts, like even like small characters who aren't that entirely big to the series, but like still have a good role to play, like Benjamin King. Like King is played by Terry Crews. You can only imagine, just like, okay, Terry Crews is a pretty popular name right now with the Expendables movies going on out, and just kind of the branding of himself in the Old Spice commercials, and yet he's like, wow, he is playing this small, really almost reined-in character, where he's not outlandish and crazy. He's just like, okay, I'm just gonna play it cool, play it safe, and
yeah,
I gotta say,
toned down, but good stuff.
Once again, the writers are outstanding, and I gotta say, like Zinyak, the main antagonist for this game, I gotta say, like, that's probably one of my favorite video game characters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's loquacious, he's classical, he loves quoting Shakespeare, he has this delicious sense of sadism to how he punishes people, but he also is like. Of course, if you're a big fan of the Saints Row series, you'll know that the boss or the president in this case, and Pierce love to sing along to music on the radio. You just have Zinyak breaking in at one time and singing horribly to "You Got What I Need," and it's like, oh my god, this is right here. That's perfect.
Not to mention, just out of nowhere.
Just French.
I don't know. I don't know where songs when you're playing a mission that plays really well too. There are definitely a couple of moments there that they just start playing a random song out of nowhere. There's definitely that, and there's a lot going on in this game. It's definitely not just something they put out there. It's definitely a lot of work was put into this, and I thoroughly enjoyed my experience with it. It's a lot to do and a lot to have fun with. There's a lot of the side quests are mostly the same, but they're altered in a way to fit the simulation. So there's different alternate alternate gameplay of the Professor Genki stuff. So you're just using your powers to actually play the game, like throwing the corresponding like symbols. Like if you throw in a person, you have to throw them in at this
The person symbol.
Yeah, the person symbol. Pretty much it. Like cars at the car symbol. The Professor Genki stuff. It just accumulating points as you go. So
it is just this game is it really just goes in every direction and does it well, and it really is just invigorate. Like they are as good as introducing fan favorite characters back in as they are introducing new characters, as well as BioWare. Like with like Mass Effect 3, there was that moment like, I don't know if I'm gonna like these characters. Like, who's this James Vega? I don't know who he is. And then by the end of the game, you're like, okay, yeah, he's cool in my books. And they are the exact same. Like Asha or like Sid, or it really is just incredible how well they write these characters. And they don't. It's not like once again, comparing good to bad, Grand Theft Auto 4, where you could go like 10 hours and not really know the character. Whereas, like, you'll play one mission and then you completely know. You'll understand who, the most like the serious Shandi is, or Keith David's character, or just any other version. There is a character who I didn't think would come back that they do, and they do a pretty good job at like reincorporating him or her. I won't say who.
Not to mention that as an option for voices, you get Nolan North.
that was one of the best surprises I've seen of just like in the last game you had like the 3 male voices, 3 female, and then like zombie, where it just like all the dialogue was just like spoken like a zombie, and people just still like acted like, okay, yeah, he's just still saying dialogue and nothing's weird. And this one just like the 3 male characters, 3 female characters, and Nolan North. Where like I only think he brings to the attention that he's Nolan North maybe twice, and those are scripted events, and everything else just like him going around just like a regular voice. Where they actually brought in Nolan North specifically for that moment.
Yeah, I haven't tried out the Nolan North voice, but I'm sure it's a delight. Yeah, definitely that, and just there's a lot of great things about this game to like. So and also not to mention, this may be something small, but I thought it was pretty cool for me. Like you can also like listen to the radio station without having to be in the car. So you just have music playing the whole time you're just kind of exploring the whole city. I thought that was a pretty nice a nice feature there. You can also hijack any car and just save it into your garage, and you just call somebody. It just automatically just gets teleports to you, so you just use it, which is pretty nice. If you ever got into using the car, and there are some instances where you would use the car, like some of the side quests, and I like how they mix things up in terms of the gameplay. Like some of the loyalty quests or the gameplay is definitely is mixed up a bit. It's definitely different than depending on who you're playing with. Like the one with Asha was really great. They were pretty much making fun of like Splinter Cell. Shooting out the lights.
And Metal Gear Solid, especially with the guards.
Oh yeah, with the allure. Like, what the fuck? WTF on the top of his head.
Yeah, it's just they have a lot of good strategy. Like they really changed up, and they make it interesting to the point where they could have relied on the superpowers as a crutch for the gameplay, and then just like did away completely with the gunplay of the previous series. But what they do is that like they'll have like enemies with certain type of grenades where they'll completely disable the superpowers that you can have, and that like they really changed up where you got to adjust your strategy and just maintain sort of. I would say it's almost on the level of the Halo sort of enemy types, where you'll have some enemies as support for the main ones, and some enemies that provide just distractions while you're trying to do your goal. And there's only one level I did not like. Everything else, like I thought was incredible. There's only one level that I did not like, and that was the one where it's with Kenzie and Cyrus, and you get the dubstep weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And just because of those vans,
I hated that. Yeah,
they continually crash into you, and you're like, "What the hell am I supposed to do?" Because like, am I supposed to hide behind a tree? Am I supposed to jump out of the way? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that and a couple of other moments where you don't for the simulation purposes they take away your powers, and like it makes it kind of annoyed me. It's like, oh, I wish I had these powers. It'd be a lot easier. And also they take away things from you sometimes to make it a bit challenging, but sometimes it can get a bit annoying. But that mission, that level in regards, that was pretty annoying. It's hard to avoid those. But luckily I got that done with no issue. It took me, I don't know, a good 20 minutes, so it wasn't incredibly frustrating.
Yes, it was. But that was the only big hiccup I encountered with this game, and it's strange because they hit that good stride between fan service of people who've played the original, past 3 games, and people who are new to the series, without alienating each group. And I think it's just because they keep on showing scenarios which neither group has been a part of. And just that first scene where you're in that sort of the only thing I'll say is Leave It to Beaver area, where I won't spoil what the hell it is, but just that caught me by surprise, and I had to put the controller down because I was laughing so hard. It's like, wow, they are completely satirizing not only the expectations of everyone around them, but of kind of their own genre and themselves.
Hey, that was pretty early on too. That did catch me by surprise as well. It's just one of those. I like when games do that. If they take you out of the reality of what you're playing and just turn it into something more different. That's kind of like they do that a couple more times in there with the one you do with Johnny Gat, and also that's what I liked about that stuff. Is like they sort of did that a little bit with I recently finished Shadows of the Dam. They did that they mixed things up between levels, so they have that kind of that 2D shooting side scroller between levels in Shadows of the Dam. I like when they did something like that. I like when they do that in Saints Row 4. They mix up the gameplay completely and just turn it into something else. Like that alternate universe there with the 50s, and just the other one with Johnny Gat, and that was good.
Yeah. and it's just. It really is just a celebration of what people love about this series in particular, without reducing it to a simple explanation of kind of like, oh, people like it because of the violence, then just completely focus on the violence or just the over-the-topness. They ground a lot of the character motivations and a lot of the story, where it's because if they just did over-the-top randomness, there would be no measurement of sort of story to this, because if anything can happen, then there's no real stake here. But they give a solid kind of backbone to the entire story, and I gotta say, they didn't need to do that, but just the fact that they go that far to actually establish this sort of narrative continuity with the world, just bravo. And I like the fact that they try to explain as many plot holes. They didn't even need to explain the science of the world, and they go that far. And then there's points where the conversation with Kenzie, who's kind of the tech expert, going on, and just listen, do you really want to listen to me talk, or do you want to get back to the mission? Yeah, well, we'll probably get back to the mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely worth checking out here, folks. If you want to have a good time, then Saints Row 4 is there for you. A very a mixed pot of many things, many good things. The best of Crackdown, the best of Mass Effect, and just all that goodness.
One of the best superhero games
I've
ever played.
It's
it's right up there with Spider-Man 2 and Arkham City. I am not joking. This is incredibly well polished, well written, fantastic.
Yeah, it almost got me back to the same feeling I had when I was just getting around the world. I would just do that for hours on end. With this, it was Spider-Man 2, but with, Saints Row did the same thing. It was just it made me want to explore Steelport and appreciate it a bit more than I probably did in Soj. Just driving around and walking. But you definitely get a nice view and appreciation of the city when you're just kind of gliding and all the way up into the high heavens, collecting orbs to upgrade your powers.
Yeah,
which is incredibly addicting.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and they make enough and the thing is, like, you could like collect enough orbs just to get kind of the essentials, but you genuinely want to like explore more powers and more abilities and like strengthen things out and be able to kind of upgrade your levels with your homies and with kind of like your main characters and have them have their bonuses, and just it's one of the games that is just so. This is the best compliment I can pay it. Where Saints Row 4 is one of the best games to where just playing it is so addicting. You don't need anyone else to tell you otherwise. You don't really need a history behind it. It's so well constructed and it's just so incredibly cohesive with the universe and the gameplay they're trying to tell. It really is just fantastic, and it's one of the best open world games out there.
Yeah, definitely for this year so far, it's definitely one of the best open world games out there. I like the inclusion of the powers because you can definitely get a lot of things done than for missions without, like, I know that like the Saints Row 3, some parts of it felt like it might have been a bit easier on you if you did it with like co-op, but it's definitely the inclusion of all these variety of different powers makes crowd management a lot easier. Like the go-to powers I used was either the fire or the ice powers that would freeze multiple enemies. And once I upgraded that to where once you use the fireballs and you start shooting one of the enemies that are on fire, it starts kind of this chain reaction of explosions, on top of another explosion. Whoever's close enough will just get hit by it, which is pretty cool.
And same thing with the ice power. When you freeze somebody, like there's like an area where they're frozen. If you shoot one person, their ice form will explode. Then the next person, and it's like the abilities that they have in here are so incredibly nuanced, but like they're not unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Like they'll get, like in some superhero games they'll give you powers which you'll never use, but in this one you'll have like the ability to ground pound and the ability to use telekinesis and the ability to use fire, to use ice, and all of those will have a purpose at some point or another, and none of them are ever not used. Yeah. And they really make sure like they hit the nail on the hammer with the gameplay elements, and just it's so fun just to go around like jumping around like the Hulk throughout the city, just for the freedom's sake of it, and it's just so fun to like to have your own abilities to just go around and really control the city and just see how you want to do things your way.
Yeah, definitely. Wouldn't mind replaying this again with co-op and see how that goes. But it was a lot of fun just on your own. I thought it was great experience there. Definitely worth checking out there if you want to get into a bit more of a open world game, which I was really in the mood of playing, and that definitely filled my void of open world game. And what was that?
Oh no, I was just saying absolutely. Just open world games, a lot of the times they just kind of they're just like open world, and they don't really feel that different from the last open world game. But this one, it definitely has that sort of stylistic trademark on what they want.
Yeah, definitely, and just a lot of memorable moments. And Keith David,
Keith David. I mean, how can you go wrong with a They Live reference? Just because like once you get John Carpenter in the mix, there's nothing wrong you can do.
And having a gun called America, which is an awesome weapon I used quite a lot.
I still love the awesome button that they have where you'll just like press it and then like you'll slide. Like it's still like those, like you'll do either wrestling moves or you'll slide underneath somebody and then immediately punch them in the gonads, then punch them in the face, or just like the wrestling moves where you'll just like go around them like the Black Widow and like slam them on the ground.
Yeah.
They really like make you feel empowered, but also the progression up to that empowerment is just incredible.
Yeah, I find myself doing that a lot early on when I was slowly accumulating some cash to upgrade my weapons, because the weapons aren't very good until you start upgrading them and putting in more money into them, like more damage and less recoil and faster reload time. So I just constantly did that, and most of the time they were just like one hit kills. Like got me just take out multiple enemies real quick. That was a lot of fun to do. And when you start getting powers that you can just stomp the ground and just blow everybody out of the sky there.
Yeah, and it's funny because they also needed to have like a lot of enemy variety because of the fact that they don't have the three. Usually with every Saints Row gang you have like 3 separate gangs that you need to take on out. And with this game, it's really strange because you usually have this game only has kind of one really main enemy, but they make up for that by having like a lot of the previous enemies from the past coming on back. Like you'll have some of the Deckers or some of the Ronin or the Sons of Samedi coming back, and it is they really have a good idea of like how to change up the gameplay. Like you'll have like regular infantry, then you'll have like shielded infantry, then infantry on vehicles, and then like super infantry, and they understand kind of what is the perfect balance for this one.
Yeah, definitely a perfect balance, and there are definitely a variety of enemy types other than just like the main kind of soldier aliens. There are definitely the ones that fly on those vehicles, and the big sort of giant kind of robot that kind of look like the little portal, like the portal robots there that you see. The turrets, they look like a larger size turrets from Portal, and that those are really good ones. They got a little annoying because you have to get behind them and shoot them from the back to get them to blow up, either like with a missile launcher or things like that. I usually ended up just freezing them and then going from behind them, just blasting them. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of variety type there to get you wound up there.
Yeah, they have like a great balance of every single enemy type, and once again, just the freedom of customization in the Saints Row series is just it's appreciated. And they hit on everything I wanted out of this game, and a few things I didn't even know I wanted. And for me, I gotta say that this is one of my favorite games of this generation, hands down.
Yeah, I'd say so too. It's definitely can agree on that. I think it's really just a fun game overall, all around.
Oh yeah, and it I do wish that more games would be as, I don't know, it's just invigorating to see someone work as hard as Volition has to create this universe and create this sort of perfect gameplay balance. And and do something different with like the open world genre, where like of course there's like the Amazing Spider-Man video game, which I didn't really like that one, but whatever. It's they rely upon their laurels. They don't really try to do anything else. With this one, it tries to branch out and does so with gusto and just incredible resilience to the industry and genres right now, and tries to go against types so much that it really does work so well as kind of a great finale to the series, and also a really nice introspective look at a lot like how the series is developed. Because half of this game is suddenly looking at how the games and the characters have developed over time, and how it was originally just like, okay, you're just a character, do whatever the hell you want, and then it just became more and more about loving this universe and just loving everything about it. And I gotta say, Volition, bravo,
and also maybe get another bravo here. How about that Blacklist there? Finally, finally got to play it. When was it? Yesterday, because I spent so much time with Saints Row that I wanted to focus my all around attention on Blacklist when I finished Saints Row, which is I didn't finish all the side quests. There were I would say about 5 or 6 I had left there, and if I did them all, it probably would have clocked in overall about 16 or maybe 17 hours. So it's pretty.
Good time.
Yeah, a good length game doesn't stick around too long, and I think it's got a good length. So definitely worth checking out. Blacklist.
So do you want to switch on over to Blacklist, Doctor?
Blacklist, yes. Oh man,
Oh, all right. Well, then let's put a pin on Saints Row 4, and just like I'm gonna say for myself that it's definitely a buy, and it's certainly like if you're a big fan of the Saints Row series, you're gonna love this game. You are absolutely gonna fall head over heels, madly in love with it, and it's a perfect summation of this type of game series, and just it really is a perfect capper to the entire Saints Row franchise.
Definitely agree wholeheartedly. Must buy there. And moving on from that to Blacklist. Man, Blacklist.
Blacklist was really surprising. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry, not Splinter Cell fans. I'm sorry, Adam Sessler fans. I gotta disagree with the main man, Cess, because as we've said before, I've had a little bit of a problem with him.
The Cess man.
The Cess man is always thoughtful, but the problem is that he always tries to extrapolate some sort of like grander, larger meaning in terms of like social or racial importance, and or just like some deep thematic importance that really was not there in the first place. And like I knew he kind of had that tendency with when he was trying to analyze like Captain America: The First Avenger, where it's like, yeah, but there were no black soldiers kind of in the military. It's like, dude, you are talking about a character who can throw a shield and is like the strongest man in the world, and you're complaining about that. Okay, you know what? And I feel like it's the same way here too, especially where. There is actually an interesting line of thought going on that he kind of ignores. So, but enough. I'll get to that later. Well, for those of you who do not know,
yes,
Splinter Cell is one of the biggest stealth franchises around. It's with Metal Gear Solid and Thief and Dishonored and what is it, like Siphon Filter?
Siphon Filter. Oh man, that was a great game at the time. I remember Siphon Filter. Oh man. I remember I couldn't get far into that game. I think a good 30 minutes. I could never pass it. I always end up dying on that one. Never beat it, but I like just the spy espionage type of games. I tried replaying that a while back, but didn't get too far into it. It's too dated for me to play. But yes, Well, you mentioned Splinter Cell, a series with a lot of backstory here. A lot of changes have gone through the series as time progressed. Definitely from the first game, it's definitely one to kind of rival and just kind of stand out on its own as something more than just like if you were looking for another stealth game that wasn't Metal Gear Solid, that was the game to go to at the time when it first came out, and it's certainly evolved since then.
I would say that between the two, I like Splinter Cell a lot more because I always liked the character of Sam Fisher a lot more than Snake, and I just like the universe how it's a lot more not realistic, but tangible, I think, than Metal Gear Solid. I like Metal Gear Solid a lot, don't get me wrong, but just I like that, and I also like I just like the universe of Splinter Cell a little bit more, and I also like the fact that for the Splinter Cell games, it kind of was like gameplay first, everything else sort of afterwards, where that felt kind of the opposite of Metal Gear Solid, where it's kind of like the story and thematic ideas first, and they'll make a gameplay around that. Like Chaos Theory was kind of was before Snake Eater, and they had like third-person camera, and then eventually Metal Gear Solid got onto having third-person camera as kind of mandatory for all their games, and they'd seem to borrow a lot more ideas from Splinter Cell and gameplay-wise than Splinter Cell to Metal Gear-wise. But to be fair, Splinter Cell did kind of borrow some ideas from Metal Gear in terms of its presentation, and
it had a thematic feel to it, like some of the cutscenes, and just kind of the kind of importance of what was going on, and just how triggering either one alarm or a lot of alarms can just be completely death to the U.S. and just it puts a lot of pressure on you. Just in some of the instances to how they set it up. Like I remember very vividly when I was playing Pandora Tomorrow, like the mission where you're I believe you're supposed to you're in this kind of like this underground facility here. You're supposed to. It's like the very end of the mission at the end of the game where you have to disable the bomb, and there's a couple of there are a couple of like enemies that are like patrolling the area, and you have to like I believe not get detected or something like that. It's just this very pressure. You're faced with a lot in that level there. That it's either life or death for the world there if you don't get it, if you don't pass it. I thought it was really good how they set it up there.
Which a lot of people did have some problems with before Chaos Theory came around and just kind of eliminated that, and then Conviction came in and then sort of reintroduced that, and it was just very, very interesting how they kind of had the back and forth between kind of what sort of methods that they introduced the gameplay through. And they actually have this really interesting dichotomy that they have in Blacklist, where before we get to all that, let's kind of give backstory to what Blacklist is all about. So, Sam Fisher, he said he in Conviction he was done with the life, and that he had his daughter back, and the threat was taken care of. He was in the clear. But something, kind of a big accident happens, and one of his colleagues is injured in said accident. So he's kind of brought back as sort of the head of a new counter-terrorist unit called 4th Echelon, which is Third Echelon was disbanded, and so now he's kind of in control and just now is in control of everything, and kind of has fifth freedom with everything that he does in terms of like which missions are okay to go. And now he's kind of in the Lambert position, but he's also out in the field where he's now approving and going after the missions, even though people, a lot of people in his crew like have problems with occasionally. But it's funny that just this time now it's just him out in the field and just approving which missions to okay and which ones are not to. And so he's got tracked down the Blacklist, which is a series of attacks that are going to happen to Americans if they don't pull out their soldiers from different countries.
Right.
And it's Sam has returned to the field, even though he said not to, and he's got to work with Anna Grimsdottir, who he does not like from the last game because of how they ended their relationship. Not romantically, but because they're not really a couple, but just how they end their relationship in the last game is like, wow, I don't see how these people could ever, really even talk to each other anymore. And they have to deal with each other. They got to deal with Andre. They bring back Andre Kobin, which I love, just because, like, wow. And I think they bring in the voice actor who's Adam Jensen. I was like, wow, I knew I remembered that voice from somewhere. That's who it is. Yeah. So now I can only imagine him like sitting down, being interrogated by Fisher, going, "I never asked for this," as he's getting beat up.
Yeah, I think he was the same voice in Conviction, but he's a bit more less hostile and less. He's a bit more toned down in this one. He was like all the time you ever saw him on screen in Conviction, he was always yelling and cursing you out.
Because he was coked out, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like every time you saw him, it's been proven that like in the game that he was taking horse tranquilizer as a drug. Where it's like, okay, this guy is like Ozzy Osbourne level of insecure and out of his mind, high. And now he's now a prisoner. He's got to provide information. And now he's got to bring together this team of these different people who he didn't really want, and like just like okay, out of convenience and out of necessity, he's got to get like Charlie Cole, who's like a tech expert, or where you have like who's new guy Briggs,
yeah,
where he's kind of like the sort of a guy who absolutely loves the CIA and the FBI. He's like one of the military guys for the big company sort of person, and Sam has a problem with that because he has got to go over their heads frequently, and then trying to deal with all these people and then taking down the Blacklist. And I gotta say, the story I didn't have a problem with it. I really did like the ideas they had behind of just like this guy who was willing to do anything to really get the job done, even if it meant like possibly starting a war several times over. Because like there's like points where it's like, dude, what you're doing right now, yeah, that's gonna cause international backlash for I don't want to say even months, because years to come is probably much more likely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's certainly very interesting to see that whether it's like, listen, we got to do what we got to do, and there are repercussions for it. Doesn't end with everybody really really happy, but I think the villain is a little bit weak. I think they could have made him a lot more personally interesting and intriguing, because for this story, Sam Fisher doesn't really have a character arc per se. He's just like it's another big mission. And like even with Chaos Theory, which was kind of like a more, I don't want to say lighthearted, but not as serious sort of story, where you had Fisher against Doug Shetland, and Shetland was questioning what Fisher believed in. Like, that's not really what happens here. Just like, okay, here's a threat, he has to rise up to the occasion and deal with it. And then
it's like another day at the office for Sam.
Yes, absolutely, and it's just like, Mondays. I hate Mondays. And I also gotta say, like, as much as I like the Splinter Cell universe, and I like Sam Fisher, like, the new guy, Eric Johnson, who's replaced Michael Ironside for the voice and performance of Sam Fisher, because Michael Ironside is a bit too old to do all the physical actions that kind of necessitate him to be in the best of shape.
Right.
They get Eric Johnson in, and he's kind of a younger guy, and I have no reason, like, as much as I love Sam Fisher, there was no reason why he needs to be in this game. Where he could have easily just been a new character. Eric Johnson could have performed a new character, Michael Ironside be, support, and, as Sam Fisher, and, whatever. I still have a problem with that, because Ubisoft has not convinced me that, Sam Fisher needed to be in this story. But, Eric Johnson does a fine enough job as Sam Fisher. The only thing I do really miss is that a lot of the dark humor Sam uses, even in Conviction, is gone. Where, he has a couple of moments where he does, a bit of humor, but it's still mostly just, like him straightforward. Like, he's basically Jack Bauer with a couple of good one-liners. Mm-hmm. And it's fine for this game. I just like to see a return to form where Sam Fisher is actually kind of he expresses his morality of the situation, even if it's not really kind of wanted or warranted. But he has a personality behind him, and that's what kind of attracted people to the character in the first place. And it's a fine story. It's an interesting story, and about kind of techno espionage and physical espionage, and just like the different sort of areas of interest. And I like the characters; they were all well developed. The only one who I didn't really like was probably Charlie Cole. I felt like I would hate Coben the most, because, like, listen, you're not going to make me like him by the end of the game, but even that was like, I think Charlie Cole, like, I'm not the biggest fan of that guy. Where he just, like, he seemed like such a, I don't know, generic sort of character, where it's like, okay, he's the techno dweeb who has, like, he's Charlie Day's character from Pacific Rim without, like, a lot of the, I don't know, like, the interesting moments to make him really shine.
Yeah, I'm sort of feeling that same way as well. Like, he's kind of, very generic and doesn't really fit well with the Splinter Cell universe there. It's just kind of there. But yeah, like I was gonna mention that I didn't, like, so far from what I've been playing, I don't mind the new voice actor. I think is pretty decent. Like, there are some lines that he says that he almost sounds like Michael Ironside, so it's like it almost made me yearn for Michael Ironside saying some of those lines, like, every time you go ahead and do a mission after, you can go ahead and call Sarah. Like, so some of those moments there, it's like, I wish that was Michael Ironside doing the voice work for that, because that was really some good moments there.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course it's strange because they, like, replaced Sam, they replaced Grimm, and I think they replaced Caldwell, the president who was in the last Splinter Cell game, but they don't replace Coben. It's like the voice actor must have been, like, in fit enough shape to actually, like, continually being, Coben's voice and physical performance as well. And it's hard. Most of them aren't there who have been around from the series for quite a while and not there. It also, I guess, it ties in a little bit well with
Conviction, I guess, just bringing in Andre Coben, and it makes it a little bit consistent from a transition from Conviction to Blacklist, but also it like some of the character models aren't that great, but like it's weird because it's hard to tell sometimes whether or not there's sometimes they look too good for their age. Like they don't put in a lot of detail into their facial features like they should have. Like with Sam, like he doesn't have like the kind of wrinkles he had in Conviction, but he does have a little bit of the gray hair, and he kind of looks like Isaac Clarke sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, damn it! Now that's all I'm gonna think about every time I play. It's just like you just like should be like wandering around like a dark corridor, like calling out for Ellie. That's the only thing I'm gonna be thinking about now. Thank you very much, Splinter.
Yes, you're welcome there. But yeah, some of the character designs could have been a bit more better and actually been. Like so far the story it seems fine. Like it's consistent to the universe. It's just like the actual character models is what isn't really consistent, and it just kind of takes you out of it a little bit. Just seeing the transitional from like the look and design of Fisher from Conviction to this is a little weird.
Yeah, and it is just kind of strange to see kind of a Sam Fisher who's even younger than he was in Conviction, and I still don't get why they had it's like a really soft reboot that they tried to have where it's like Victor Cost, who was in the last game.
He looks younger too.
Yeah, he looks young. He looks really different because in the other one he looks kind of like Michael Moore on when he was finally just got on a treadmill for at least 2 days.
Yeah.
But this one is just okay, he's he's svelte. He's he's military ready, and same thing with Fisher, where he looks a lot more. He looks a lot younger, a lot more military capable as compared to the last game, where he was just kind of this guy who was, of course, in kind of a good condition to do this, but he did not look like a spring chicken, and. It's the same. It's this. It's like, okay, they Benjamin Button all the characters, and then, but they don't want to keep the voice actor, but they want to change the age of the character. And the only thing that really comes down to is why don't you just get a new character, or at the very least, why don't you just reboot the entire franchise to where Splinter? I'm sorry, not Splinter Cell, but that where Sam Fisher is a young guy going into the military. And it's like they're afraid of alienating the old crowd and people who know the world through the idea that he is, Sam Fisher is kind of the end all be all main protagonist. But they don't want to, completely, stick to the old just because they don't want to be called old hat for having that.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, most will agree that at this point, I think just having the gameplay is good enough for me. But just incorporating a new character, I think would be something that could definitely revitalize just more of the story aspect of the game, and what you could what you can do with a newer recruit that could be under the wing of Sam Fisher. There could be a lot of potential things they could do with it, but. Yeah, I think at this point they probably have to, because it just almost feels like I almost felt the same way as seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Expendables 2. It's almost getting to that point there. Sam Fisher, I think you gotta hang it up there, man.
Yeah,
I love you, man, but you kind of look awkward now, shooting a gun.
Yeah, it never feels right when you see. There's that moment where it's I wish this could go on forever, and then 3 seasons of Red vs. Blue later, after season 5, you're like, oh no, I don't want this to go on forever. Please let it stop. Just stop it, please. You're tearing me apart.
I think it's reaching that point there, and I think most logical fans would understand it if they went with a different character. As long as they kept the main core aspect of the universe and gameplay the same, I think it'd be a good fit for it at this point. But I guess other than that, I haven't gone too far into the game there. Probably a good 3-4 hours. So it seems like you've already finished it. So I mean, so far, I'm digging the story a bit, and I haven't gotten too far to kind of dictate otherwise. But the gameplay is really good. Really enjoyed the gameplay. Like, at first, it took me a while to get used to it. Like at the first level, I died like 3 times. Like, oh man, I suck. And it's just because they changed up the controls a little bit, so it's slightly different than Conviction. Because like with Conviction, you would go to cover like holding the left trigger, but this one you just hit the B button, and sometimes that works, and sometimes it got me killed a bunch of times because I didn't do it right. Because I was still sticking with the old Conviction controls, but I'm getting the hang of it now. So it really is a good blend of Chaos Theory there in Conviction. Like you can go about it like just guns blazing, but it's very challenging to do so. So I always the approach I'm going with it is to try to be as stealthy as I can be, and sometimes avoid confrontation altogether. Other times, if I do end up getting caught, I might as well just start shooting it up the place, and most of the time I end up dying. So it's a blend of both, actually. Like it's a good level designs in the game. Like you can get around from one area to the other in a variety of ways, and just avoid conflict overall, pretty much.
Yeah.
And also, like in your
a lot of options.
Yeah, a lot of options. I like that. It's good, and just a lot of also customization as well, which was really lacking in Conviction, because most of the upgrades were minimal and really didn't add too much to the gameplay. But with this one, there's a lot of customizations. You can even go as far as changing the lights on your goggles.
I love that.
Which I'm sticking with the classic green for now, but I'm digging just the amount of customization you can do with just your overall gear, like from your gloves that can improve your aim, your boots to make you less noise when you're running around, and just a variety of other things, like even weapons as well. Just a lot of things you can delve into, and just side quests to get more money to upgrade your stuff. So that's really good, and and just being able to go from non-lethal to lethal hand-to-hand combat, you can switch it from between on and off between those two, and just have at it.
Oh my gosh, it is so liberating. Like I have not, I try to go through that the entire game and not have a single death, but of course there comes times where I gotta switch it up and take out a sniper who I can't exactly get from across the map with just my stun gun.
Yeah.
And so, switching it up to that. But, I love the fact that you can go into the radial menu and then, switch it on over to lethal or non-lethal hand-to-hand combat stuff. Just that little difference between, what you want to do, that makes a lot of an impact. That makes a huge impact in terms of, how you want to play things. And they just have such all the AI characters have such incredible intelligence, where they'll every single time they go around, they won't have the same patterns, or they'll have different types of enemies who work in tangent with one another, or they will of course there's a little some hiccups, when you're trying to hide behind a corner and a guy walks around and he's just a little bit out of your reach to get a hand-to-hand combat where it's okay, now normally that should work, but, there's occasional moments. But, besides that, there's so many options in traversing to get around everything. You could, go through entire levels without alerting the alarm once, and without having anyone be aware of your presence as you get to the next section. But it is, and I say this in the best way possible, not putting down any of the other entries in the Splinter Cell franchise. This is the closest game to Chaos Theory I've ever had in terms of just playability and what you want to do.
Yeah, it's almost like a next-gen version of Chaos Theory, and a bit of the fast pace you can make it to be of Conviction. You can kind of go about the game as if you want the way you play in Conviction, but I find it incredibly challenging, and much like Chaos Theory, you don't have a lot of life, and you can get killed really easily.
Oh my gosh!
And it takes forever to regenerate your health, and
it is one of those moments where you see this guy, like the guy, like suddenly notice you, and they actually have a really really good noticing system of like how they like someone perceives you, and then like when they become fully aware, it's like you only have a few seconds before they'll call reinforcements. So you got to either shoot them in the head, shock them, take them out, use like a smoke grenade or a chaff grenade or something, and then knock them senselessly or slit their throats or something, and. And there's there's no moments where they'll notice you and they won't they don't know that you're there, but they'll go to check it out.
Yeah.
And so they'll go over and just like check it out, and then you can take them out from there. But they really give you like the artificial intelligence is so great, and the level design is fantastic to where you can kind of sculpt any sort of gameplay experience you want. And that especially goes for a lot of the side missions as well, where you have. Where you'll have like a lot of Grimm's missions are like a traditional Splinter Cell game sort of missions where you'll have to take all of the guys out and you can't get spotted or else the mission is over immediately.
Man. Yeah, I did a couple of those, and I don't know how many times I had to start from the very beginning. There's no like save at any moment like in Chaos Theory. It's like mostly checkpoint based, but with like the Grimm missions, like. If you get pretty far in it, like let's say 5 to 10 minutes, and you mess up, you gotta start from the beginning. But
no checkpoints, no saves, and just complete and utter pain if you manage to mess up. And they will not. It's strange because like in traditional stealth game sort of mechanics, you will not like you could memorize their tactics and they'll still do something new every time you reload.
Yeah. Every time I found it that even though like you go through these levels and mess up a lot, you would think you would get a hand of it and figure out like where each enemy goes by. But most of the time I've noticed when you reload a checkpoint, if you mess up, the AI pattern is always different. So you can't really go about it the same way like you did originally. Like you would think, all right, I'm just gonna wait for these two guys to walk away and then run into inside the base here, but it's normally randomized sometimes. So sometimes you have to go about it a different way and be patient about it, or else you just have to restart again. But yeah, most like some missions, like even the main missions will have that where you can't get spotted, and also they'll have other ones like the side quest for Grimm. Those are just complete stealth. Yeah, you can't get spotted at all. I just finished doing one today where it almost reminded me of that. The second level in Chaos Theory, the Lacerda ship. I mean, the Maria Narcissa. It reminded me of that. I was like, oh my god, this is like Chaos Theory. Like that moment when you start up that level, it's almost spot on like that mission there. It brought back memories of that level there. It's like this is next gen Chaos Theory right here. Like the lights look good. Like when you're in the dark, it's just awesome. Sometimes it's too dark for me to see, so I have to turn on the scope, and I just upgraded my goggles to get sonar, so that's been really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah, and I love the the upgrade system. You gotta every single type of mission sort of prerogative you want. Like there's Ghost, Assault, and Panther, which are 3 different combinations. Like Ghost is just straight out stealth. Panther is conviction level of stealth, where you quickly take somebody out, shoot someone else in the head, and then duck back into the shadows. And then Assault is like all out, basically the Call of Duty fare. And then it encompasses all those different elements.
Yeah, I've been mostly doing Ghost, and I've been doing a little bit of Panther. Is basically like you mentioned, it's basically killing enemies without being spotted. So it's a bit of both stealth and action there. But like there's some missions where you just can't kill anybody or just not get detected, and other times you just full range, do what you want, and you'll get the most points if you play Ghost and you still get a good amount of XP and money if you just shoot up the place or just go about it. It doesn't detract like from the experience if you play it one way or the other. It rewards you either way how you play it. But the most ideal way to play it and get more experience is to kind of ghost and not kill anybody or get detected. But I've been pretty good at doing some of that by reloading a lot of checkpoints and trial and error. But that's I've been pretty good at that for a little bit. I didn't think I'd be as good in the Ghost playstyle at the moment. That's where it's ranking me so far. And yeah, it's just it's good Splinter Cell. Like this is something that we were kind of looking for Conviction here. It's definitely the way it's set up in terms of story. It's the gameplay it's ideal enough to support it and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Not like most people who had a problem with the gameplay of Conviction, but I felt that it was fine and that was consistent to the story. Yeah, like he's like, it's not like you're gonna go around shooting light bulbs and for people who are looking for you and they already know you're there. But like in this one, they don't know that you're there at all. So it's very in the essence of Chaos Theory, where it's just like a regular average Joe just kind of rocking around doing his business, and you can just knock him out or just shoot him in the head.
Yeah, it does accommodate for every type of play, which is if you loved Conviction and you want to play like that way, then just stay away from the kind of grim side missions where you one spot and you're done, and just stick with the Panther. But if you want that sort of traditional Chaos Theory sort of mentality, then go with the Ghost playthrough. And then people who just don't care either way will get, the Assault. And I'm just amazed that they can actually come up with, all these different varieties and still maintain a sense of gameplay balance. And even more impressively is like if you're trying to sneak around in Ghost kind of mentality and you get spotted, then you can switch over to Panther, over to Assault, back to Ghost, back to Panther, back to Ghost, and without dropping a beat.
Yeah, it goes all over the place. If you want to make it that way, and just also the newer enemy types are good too. It's like and they also kind of balanced out the mark and execute. Like for those who thought it was just a really get out of kind of jail button. Like it was like with this one, like you can do it, but like there are some enemies that have helmets on and it won't work at all.
Yeah, so I love those enemy types because it's just so deliciously frustrating when you're trying to okay, I don't have a mark and execute, I can't shoot this guy's helmet off, so what I'm going to do is launch a gas grenade, shoot off their helmet while they're walking past it, and then have them choke and then get knocked out. Yeah,
I've died and learned a couple times not to mark and execute guys with the helmets on. I didn't notice. It's because I didn't notice they had helmets on, but you can kind of get an indicator, like if you mark them, that you'll get a little symbol that kind of a helmet, so you know that they're wearing one. I didn't notice that at first, and I just when I fired it off, it just didn't work at all for that guy. So I just ended up getting shot right in front of him. And there was one other mission too that I was doing. That was a side mission. That was where you can you would just have to neutralize all the enemies that were on each section of the level, so that there would be 2 different levels, and after you pass one, it'll save it for you, and you go on to the next one. And the final guy that I tried to take out, I didn't notice that I didn't pay attention because you're supposed to take him out with hand-to-hand combat because he has the right shield on. It's like he was the last guy and he killed me. It's like, damn it! That guy screwed me over really bad. I was doing good too.
And it actually forces you to think about the order of operations in terms of how you take down all the guys. Do you want to take down the easy guys first, or do you want to take out the big heavies so you don't have to worry about the other guys later? And you also have a plethora of gadgets and items to kind of assist in any sort of play style you want. And frankly, that's just a feat within itself. They balance all those types of gameplay elements without making any other of them overpowering over the other. And it just bravo. The only thing I kind of don't really like is the fact, I don't know what it is, but when they have cutscenes, they have a lot of characters talking, and a lot of times their teeth look really weird. I don't know what it is, but when they're just talking, it looks like, I don't know, they were just given cows' teeth over human teeth. It's that weird sort of disconnect where it's it's not too often, but there's a couple of moments where you're showing way too much teeth. You look like Jim Carrey in The Mask right now.
Yeah, that's a little weird there, and also yeah, just yeah, like some of the missions. It's also just, I mean, depending on if you're really good, you can probably just combat your way the whole thing. But I try to play smart and try not to let anyone get alerted of me, because if that happens, they just start calling reinforcements, and then just it piles on even more. It's like, God damn it! And I as much as those dogs, man. Those dogs are really good enemy types, but they are annoying as heck.
Absolutely.
I like how you can also grab their. You can also grab them and pick them up and just put them somewhere like where they can't be seen. I thought that was a pretty nice touch there as well. I didn't think you could actually do that.
Yeah, they incorporate that element from the old school Splinter Cell games so that they don't like come on around, and I really like that. And I hate the dogs, not because they're the bad enemy type, because I don't like killing dogs. Just because, like, what the sound that in at least the video game, I've never killed a dog in my entire life. Please don't get that wrong, ladies and gentlemen. That is not indicating me as a dog killer. I love dogs, but just like I don't like to kill dogs, and because of that, I usually just like get a trank on them or do like an incredibly risky maneuver just so I don't have to kill them. And it's like, oh damn it, why do I have to deal with this? You stupid dogs, I hate you. And then like I'll usually get like uncovered just because of the fact that a dog will bark at me and another guy will come around the corner and find me, and he's like, "Oh, Ubisoft, you played me well. You knew what my weakness was, and you decided to act on it."
Yeah, I usually sticky shock them, or I always try to get around them, but it's incredibly hard to do so. If you have to really move ahead of him before he gets close enough to your vicinity, I always start lunging towards you, and then everybody's pretty much alerted to you. You just kind of have to break free of him. And depending on if you have non-lethal or lethal takedown, you just knock him out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another nice new enemy type they threw into the mix to mess with you there.
Yeah, and they also, although this was kind of something I didn't really focus on, in Conviction you have, if you got your pistol, you basically have unlimited ammo for that. And in this game you have limited ammo, but you still have the supply caches where you can go on over and resupply everything. So it's a nice balance as well.
Yeah, depending on the difficulty there, if you play it on Perfectionist, you don't get supplies at all.
Ooh, I have not played on Perfectionist yet, so I will give that a go through, just because that seems like the traditional sort of chaos theory route to go.
Yeah, I haven't delved into that. I just started it on normal mode, so I'm fine at that rate right now until I get better at it, like I did with Conviction. I played it on all difficulties, but this seems like it has more variety in terms of the difficulty level that kind of will suit the type of gamer you are in terms of kind of skill or kind of experience in terms of these kind of stealth action games. And yeah, it kind of is the best for both worlds for kind of anybody there. It's very accessible. I think that's not a very bad word to use. I think it definitely suits a lot of playstyles really well.
And the only other kind of negative I would have to say is, so during some of the cutscenes, there's a bit of screen tearing. Even when I try, I download the HD textures on the second disc, and
yeah, I did too.
And downloaded the game to the hard drive, so it would load a lot quicker, and it still had some screen tearing issues during the cutscene. So I just it didn't ruin the game. It wasn't terrible, but just something that you're going to notice from time to time.
Yeah, it may be resolved in a future patch soon. Who knows? But yeah, for the most part, it's not a very few bugs in the game that I've noticed. It's pretty polished so far, and
oh yeah,
I like the way they went about the kind of menu system. There really kind of isn't a type of menu system where you go ahead and it's almost done through in game, like where you can take a look at your stats and all that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
On the monitors, like see your progress so far. And I thought that's like, hey, I see CH on there. He's progressing on the screen over there next to Briggs.
Yeah, it is. They have a really good sense of maintaining everything in the real world, quote real world, because you'll be doing everything in real time in the Paladin, and you'll be accessing missions, talking to individuals, and it really is impressive, just like how much they could have planned. That they planned it out. Like, okay, all these missions need to take place from here, and how do we do this from the Paladin, which is the big gunship that you're in, and it just certainly is like one of those games where they really thought everything through. And while I don't, okay, personal question. Do you prefer this game or Chaos Theory?
I mean, it's tough to say, because it's with this one they really go all out to kind of make mostly any type of playstyle. Anything kind of goes. You can kind of just go about it that those different type of playstyles. With Chaos Theory, it was a bit more. You relied a bit more on stealth than anything else. If you try to just kind of assault your way on there, it's kind of a bit difficult to do so, and just doesn't really flow well exactly what the whole game was about. It wasn't really all about that. That was kind of your final resort there, but yeah, it's tough to say. I would put them both into kind of two different categories a little bit there, because they both have gameplay choices that you make and the way you go about missions different, and both those games are gonna go about it a different way here. It's a tough one there. I know that's not an answer, but it's so far I'm digging both. I like both of them. But how about you?
For me, it's tough just because I think Blacklist addresses a lot more gameplay styles. I think it's a lot more. I don't know. There's a lot more enemy types and variety of areas, gadgets. But I think Splinter Cell was really, really polished to a mirror sheen with all the environments. So, to be honest, I'm going to have to be like you. I said earlier I probably prefer Chaos Theory over Blacklist, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think they're both great for different reasons.
Yeah.
And as much as I love Chaos Theory, Blacklist does some things that Chaos Theory does not do, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It picks up upon the best parts of Chaos Theory and just adds in a couple of newer enemy types and features that you didn't get in Chaos Theory, kind of vice versa. You play them to get different gameplay experiences out of them, and just they're both kind of different. I think Blacklist a bit more is higher scope of intensity than Chaos Theory. It's a bit small. It was a bit small, and it was very and most of the levels were kind of indoors.
Yeah, and and the thing is, like, you had to do a lot more slowly crawling through environments and learning about your location. Like, there was that that level in Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah.
Where you're walking through and there's like soldiers firing against North Korean soldiers, and you couldn't last a second in that firefight. You like alert one of them and you're dead.
Yeah.
And because of that, it just does not feel entirely like you have control over the entire area.
Yeah, most of it was out of your control that you really couldn't do much about.
And with Blacklist, it gives you a lot more control, a lot more freedom, but it's a lot quicker, and you don't really have the ability to, like, you can't interrogate people. You just basically proceed from one area to another, or you download something. You don't have the ability to interrogate someone, use them for retinal hacking, or for going, like, probably one of my favorite levels in Chaos Theory was the bank level, just because it's one area and you're sneaking in and out of the entire compound, through the different levels, trying to access the basement basically, and you're going upstairs trying to access the computers, going downstairs, and you don't have that. You basically just have get in there as soon as possible. Not as soon as possible. Like, just here's the objective. What you do is your own, but you kind of have to do it in a timely fashion, or else it's different.
I like how they also relay some of the side quests you can do, and also through your through dialogue. Like you get some suggestions here and there, either through Briggs or Grimsdottir, about how to get from one area, like how to take the stealthy approach, like make a right there and just like go out the window and things like that. If you choose to go ahead and follow that, like normally you would go ahead and probably read a little bit about that in your menu there, like on the OPSAT, like you would do in Chaos Theory. Like there was an alternate route to get here, but they kind of relay that through dialogue and voiceover, which is pretty nice.
It is, and I have to say that I think Ubisoft really did something right, and really kind of went back to the drawing board and said, okay, you know, we could do the EA thing where we're just making it for a mass audience and not really care about kind of the traditional fans who've been for us, you know, the entire time. But you know, we're actually gonna make sure that we can not only incorporate our old school fans, but make sure that it's also welcoming for new people to come on in. And what I love about it is that the more you play, the more you realize that you'll get kind of a better result if you play it stealthily, but it's not told to you through exposition like, oh, Sam, you better be stealthy on this one or else it's going to be a lot difficult. It's like you learn through playing, and that's just outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess a little bit to... I guess in exchange for some slight interrogation, it kind of, some of that stuff, if you do end up interrogating from what I played so far, it kind of transitions into more of a cutscene rather than you just going in there and grabbing the guy and just and dragging him over to an object that you can beat him up with. Yeah.
And you know, that's what I loved about Conviction, and they don't really carry that over here. But you know, it was for a different game, and
right.
You know, I think it works well for this one not to have it.
Yes, it's so far what I played so far. It's great. It's they do a lot to kind of reinvigorate the series here, and you know, bringing back some of the old school way of doing things in terms of getting around the level. Just the level variety is really good. The design is really well executed. Just a lot of options. That's what I like in most of these stealth action games. That it gives you a lot of options. There's not just one way about going about things that you may not like to do and you may be really bad at, but you can always always have an alternate option.
Yeah, and what I think that was the biggest hurdle for a lot of stealth games to get over, is where, you know, nowadays we kind of like the horror genre where, you know, part of the appeal is being limited in some respect and being able to work around that limitation, whereas nowadays there's a lot of empowerment and not having limitations, and to be sort of the most engaging experience for the player. So that's incredibly hard to balance out. And what they do here is just nothing short of just fantastic in terms of not only staying true to the stealth genre roots, but also incorporating enough action for, you know, people who are not entirely sold on the concept of stealth games to join on in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm very satisfied so far from what I've been playing. It definitely lives up to the quality standards you would expect from a Splinter Cell game, and yeah, I'm enjoying the heck out of it so far.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, is there anything else that we have? I have not been able to link up my multiplayer yet because I don't have a USB to Ethernet adapter cord, which I will put on and then put on into my laptop so I can actually finally go back on Xbox Live. But have you been playing any of the Mercs vs. Spies sort of affair?
I have not. I just my gold subscription just recently expired, so I haven't had the chance to delve into the Spy vs. Mercs. But I've heard nothing but good things about it. They always do it well, Ubisoft, with the Spy vs. Mercs and with all the Splinter Cell games since they introduced them. Even in Double Agent, that was another good part of that game. That just Spies vs. Mercs, that was very good. It's a little strange seeing the game, and I've seen some gameplay footage of it. It's strange seeing it in first person when you're playing as a merc, because you're so used to it to being in third person. So it may be something that maybe you'll get a little bit used to when I actually start playing it. But I have not tried it out yet, and like even the Briggs missions, I was curious to try, but like you have to do those in co-op, so I can't get online or anything, so I can't really play with anyone locally to get that done to see what it looks like. But yeah, I haven't tried that out. Is there any story related things if you do those side quests, or they're just mainly there just to get you some extra cash to upgrade some stuff?
I think they're mostly there just for cash, because I was trying to look online if there was any co-op cutscenes, because part of the thing that really surprised me about Conviction was just how well developed the Archer and Kestrel co-op stuff was.
Yeah.
That was a preview to the actual main story, and they did that very, very well. And I just was trying to figure out if there was anything like that in the co-op, but so far I haven't figured it out. Now whether or not that's just it's not there, or I'm just incapable of actually figuring it out, trying to get it there, remains to be seen. But I will let you know if I know any more.
Yeah, I guess in exchange for the co-op story stuff, they put in place the Spies vs. Mercs, and also I guess you get a little bit of probably interactions. I guess a little bit more maybe character stuff if you play co-op with somebody, and you play as Sam or Briggs, because usually when you try to initiate a mission with them, it'll ask you if you want to play co-op and either play with someone on your friends list or someone online. So I guess some of that stuff is transitions over to a little bit of probably back-to-back dialogue between the two, and see how they fare. But it doesn't seem like it's anything too major that you miss out on. But just basically just you play co-op with somebody and help them out to get some experience.
For me, I was just. I don't know what it was, but there was something about it that it wasn't two different new characters that kind of made me hesitant about hearing it. It's like, okay, it's going to be Sam and Briggs. And I was like, are you sure about that? I mean, what about two different guys who we've never heard about before? That's kind of the tradition of Splinter Cell since Chaos Theory, where it's like two different guys like Bob and Steve, or Archer and Kestrel, and
Bob and Steve.
Mm-hmm. And it's just. Just like a little thing like that kind of made me like, oh, that's very interesting.
Some of the stuff like the side quest you'll usually ask you if you want to do co-op, but some of the stuff you can get done. You can get some of the side quest stuff done on your own, but I would assume that if you deal with co-op, it's a bit more quicker, and if you're both really good and have good chemistry, you can probably clear those levels pretty quick. And there are definitely some parts of the level, that's how great the level design is, that there are some areas that you can't go into, that you need to have another person with you, like to breach the door, or just use to shimmy up something higher than you can climb up to, which definitely it got me to when I noticed that. It's like, damn it, I wish I had somebody here. I would have hacked this laptop quicker than just going around and spending another extra 5 minutes than I needed to do that.
Say, would you like to make this entire endeavor a lot more easy? Well, then, too bad for you, because we're not going to accommodate that. Get the hell out of here.
I mean, I'll take the co-op having to do that rather than just microtransactions. I'd be pissed. It's like 60 Microsoft points to open this door. Go ahead.
100 Microsoft points to get a box so you can finally reach that window you're trying to get to.
No, man. Well, yeah, good stuff. Very satisfied by it. I know we were optimistically hesitant about Blacklist, but it so far, when I played and from what you probably played, I think you said you probably finished it already. So it turns out to be a pretty good endeavor to get into.
Yeah, it's. I haven't got as far into, since I picked up Splinter Cell first. I got through that and then tried to get through a lot of Saints Row and got not a whole lot way into the side missions, or had finished the whole quest yet of the storyline, but just of Splinter Cell, I finished a lot more of that, and I gotta say that it does. While I still think there are a lot of criticisms there of the storyline and the character of Sam Fisher and kind of this soft reboot criticism that I myself have, it's still a good game, and it's if not right on par, it's still very close to the quality of Chaos Theory. And people who are hesitant about the game, or who are stealth fans and hesitant about too much action, please don't, because this is an awesome game, and you are doing yourself a disservice from not picking it.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely agree wholeheartedly on that. If you're a big stealth fan, it's definitely worth getting and sinking your teeth into. A lot of variety there, and like you mentioned, as much as we always get on like the story and character consistencies / inconsistencies, it doesn't detract too much from the game, but it overall ends up being a pretty good gameplay experience.
Absolutely, it's so much fun, and even fans of the old Splinter Cell will be able to like play those grim missions where they're just once spotted once and the mission's over, or if you want one of those wave-based kind of like horde missions, there's sort of a side mission for that as well, and it really is accommodating to all play styles and play types without pandering down. And really, I am floored by just how much work must have gone into the work that Ubisoft has done to make this game as developed as it was, and challenging and balanced and just great. And the only thing I wish for is just, for the love of God, if you need a DLC patch, please do it. Get rid of those teeth. I can't stand those teeth. I see those teeth in my nightmares now. It is like the Nightmare Before Christmas, except they're all singing teeth instead of Jack Skellington.
Oh, hopefully it won't cost too much to replace those in DLC. Hopefully not.
Of course not. If it's not 50 Microsoft points to open up a door, then I won't. Then I'll be fine.
Yeah. So glad we got to talk about some Blacklist and some Saints Row 4, and definitely both good games to check out. Definitely worth the purchase for this month of August, and we still got Killer is Dead coming out tomorrow, which I'll see if I play a little bit of that this week and talk about it and see how it fares so far. And I mean, I did enjoy Shadows of the Damned. I mean, I played that game and stopped playing it like months ago, but it as much as I had some frustrating issues with it at times, but it's like after I finished it, I was just like exhaled of release, like, man, finally I finished it. It's like I had some fun times every now and then, but just it's one of those games where you can't enjoy it as much as like from the beginning, because you have to upgrade a lot of stuff to get things going, like your weapons and stuff like that. Mm. It's like once you upgrade your weapons, you're pretty solid there. It's weird. It plays differently than most of what I play there. Like just this, that traditional, almost like Resident Evil-esque gameplay where like the shooting is quite not there, but it at the same time it is. But it's strange. It's a strange experience. But I glad I finished it and got to experience the big boner segment. You have to repeat over and over again. Oh my big boner. My big boner.
I tell you what, I think it's safe to say that Suda51, I think, is like the David Lynch of. That must be Swarfurry. I'm sorry. I don't know who Suda51 is. Maybe like an adult version of. I'm sorry.
He's in his own category.
Yeah, he's in his own planet. Like I think that's probably the most apt way of saying it. Where he is. I think he's like Miyazaki if he like had nothing but dick jokes and adult humor on the brain.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Killer is Dead fares. I've heard pretty good things about it. I'm a big fan of hack and slash, so I'm sure this will fill the void of my necessity. I can't speak. To play some hack and slash. That will fill that up.
Yes, indeed. Killer's Dead looks very interesting. I like Suda51's games, and I like the sort of creative insanity behind a lot of them, and so I hope it's really, really good.
Did you like Shadows of the Damned? It's like I mentioned, it's like one of those games where you'll like it if you play it again, but like the first time you play through it, it kind of gets a bit frustrating because like it's on like the sort of the same level as Metal Gear Solid. Like there are enemy types that you face that you aren't sure about how to defeat them. That you kind of have to figure it out on your own. Then once you figure it out, it's just a breeze to go through. But like when you can't figure out what you're supposed to do, it's really annoying and frustrating.
Yeah, I heard he's one of those guys where the games do they don't preliminarily wow you. In fact, a lot of times they kind of shun a lot of people who are trying to get interested in his work.
Yeah.
But Killer 7, No More Heroes. I played a little bit of Lollipop Chainsaw, Flower, Sun and Rain. I do like a lot of those games. I've not played Shadows of the Damned yet, but I hear it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's an interesting...
Or, good on the terms of, like, people who love Suda stuff.
Yeah, if you like Suda stuff, or I like the design of it. There are some really interestingly designed enemies and bosses in there. There are a lot of interesting mechanics you have to go through in order to get things done. Some of it fun, some of it really frustrating. But once you figure out what you're supposed to do, it's a lot more pleasant that way. And it has much similar to like Saints Row, where it changes the game up completely for a couple of minutes, where it changes things up. And I like those segments a lot. Those are fun. They turn it into like this cabaret 2D side-scrolling shooter, pretty much, and you play the game the same way you normally do, but in that vein of 2D side-scroller. It's a little different, but you still use the same mechanics, like dealing with the shadows and things like that. That was I think that was pretty well done, those segments. But yeah, I mean it's pretty cheap nowadays. So I mean if you ever get the time, it's worth at least checking out. It may, like you mentioned, it threw me off a little bit and just pushed me away. Just how frustrating it was. I haven't played it in months, and just I looked through my collection of games and saw it there. So I gotta finish it, just because I don't like buying games and not finishing them. It's like I have a couple that I need to finish, but that was one of my list that I needed to finish and get back into again. That was off my list there. I still need to finish Dishonored. Still got to finish that. But other than that, we got Splinter Cell and Saints Row to focus on at this moment.
Those are going to take a couple of weeks just to get through all the goodies that they got through.
All the goodies, and then with the new game coming out tomorrow, I'm going to be a busy man in terms of gaming.
Good man. And now that we kind of got through all of them and had like really two fantastic products, I cannot wait to see what the next kind of great game will be.
Yeah. So, other than that, do you have any other things you want to discuss before we wrap it up? I know we have one question here that I got through Twitter, but we can go ahead and possibly answer that and just wrap it up here.
Sure. I don't have anything that important. I mean, it's a really quiet time for the industry at this moment. Like, it's strange because, like, the summertime is a really big time for the movie industry, but for the video game industry, it couldn't be any more dead.
Yeah, it's one of those things there. But there are definitely a couple of other... There's some stuff on the PC that worth checking out if you're not too interested in what's out in terms of the console games. I know that there's the 2D fighting game Dive Kick, which I still need to get. I'm interested in playing that. You ever heard of Dive Kick?
I have not heard of Dive Kick.
It's basically like a 2D fighter. It's basically you only have two buttons. It's just diving and kicking. So it's basically you basically have to out-psych the other fighter into jumping so that you can go ahead and jump and kick them. So it's basically a game of like provoking game, like trying to get somebody to do something so you can go ahead pretty much kick them, and that's pretty much it. So you just get one hit and that's it, like for the round. It's interesting. It's a different fighting game that where you normally expect, like mostly there you expect combos, but it's just really simple, and a potentially addicting 2D fighter there. There's that, and there's also we got the DuckTales remake that came out for the PC.
No, I have not played that, and I don't have a huge hankering for DuckTales.
DuckTales.
Woohoo! I do remember the Disney cartoon, though.
Yeah, it made me want to watch that again. You got that, and just some other ones on there. I mean, there's always something out for the PC, so it's definitely if you're not interested in the console games at the moment, waiting for GTA 5 to come out, you can go ahead and check those out. Check it, just basically look on Steam, and you'll find something. I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. There's always something on Steam, and I mean, because the PC gaming is really the last vestige of indie marketing right now, unless the Xbone and PS4 say otherwise.
Yeah, we'll see. So I guess we'll go ahead and go on to the questions here for today.
Absolutely.
And the question here comes from Christian, aka Deep Voice, and his question is: do you feel the two major consoles options have become homogenized, or have consoles always been more similar than we like to admit? There we go. I mean, I feel like what it really comes down to at times, like with some of these, like with the 360 and PS3, like mostly what most people focus on is like the hardware, but like relatively they do have sort of similar features. It's just they go about them differently. Maybe not completely the same, but it's really all. I guess nowadays it's not really about games being exclusive to one console. Most games that come out are pretty multi-platform now, so it doesn't. Except for like one or two that come out for their respective consoles. Most of the time, PS3 has more exclusive games than the 360 does. I mean, most of the time from this past generation, it's mostly been either Halo or Gears of War. That's only been the exclusives there. But like PS3 have had other variety of selections of exclusives, like it's probably not a good example, like the PlayStation All Stars and like Uncharted and Heavy Rain and all that stuff.
Mm. It just comes down to a lot of times a lot of the exclusive stuff is kind of just like what you think is actually a good game versus like the number of quality exclusives that a console has. And to be honest, I think a lot of homogenization actually has occurred in this generation because video games have become so expensive to make that they can't just rely on one system sales anymore. We've been seeing this problem with a lot of third-party development for the Nintendo Wii, as well as kind of now seeing a little bit more of the Wii U. And it's interesting because now we have even less stuff going on for the next generation. Like, we got another Killzone game. We got Infamous. We got Halo 5, and we got Titanfall. Like, Titanfall's the biggest thing and Watch Dogs, and Titanfall are the biggest kind of games so far, and they're still multi-console. Like, yeah. It's weird. And, like, there's like also this homogenization of technology where the PS4 and the Xbox One are pretty much the same system, except for prices and peripherals. Like, the biggest thing that the Xbox One has that they're trying to justify the prices for is the Kinect stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just not really... I don't even think it's going to be a huge issue in the future. I think they're probably going to settle on having a version where that does not come up with the Kinect. It's just my opinion, but...
They're going to have to, because if it's not required anymore to have it on your Xbox, since they already changed that recently...
Yeah,
I think it would make sense, and I mean it basically, that's basically why it's a little bit extra because of that. I mean, even though we're most likely not going to use it unless there are a couple of games that do use it, like the only time I probably would use it if I was going to play that new Swery 65 game. I think I might get it, but it's not enough for me to get a 360 at this point. Even right now, like especially with these next gen consoles that are coming out, PS4 and Xbox One, a lot of them, like you probably could make the argument that the PS4 is probably more supreme in power, and they've always been that way. But if you see videos of both of them, they go into detail how the frame rate is a bit more on the PS4, but you can't tell the difference really. So
they're getting so negligible nowadays.
Yeah, and just pretty much they both have. Even recently, they both have basically the same features. Like not completely the same features, but like I know that Microsoft is doing the whole thing now with the Xbox 360 now, where they put out free games if you're a gold member now. So they're taking strides from the PlayStation Plus memberships there, and giving you free games if you're a gold member. And it's slowly but surely they're relatively becoming more the same, having the same features, maybe with different providers. Like Twitch is going to be on the PS4, and then probably I don't know what the Xbox is going to use. The Xbox is going to be Twitch, and then just the streaming services and all that. But basically, it's the same features there, just different names. It'll just all come down to preference and price points. It just at this point was what it's seeming like, and exclusives a little bit too.
It certainly is one of those methods I think is becoming less and less important as time goes by, and especially now with with more competition in the past. We saw like the N64 and the PlayStation and the Dreamcast, them all competing with each other and trying to differentiate themselves, and now with Nintendo sort of kind of going after their own market and kind of their own sort of slice of the pie of population, and the Sony and Microsoft going after sort of the big high-end AAA sort of productions going on. They're becoming less and less about the differences and more about things that people want. And it is just, it really is just very, very, I think, negligible in terms of differences that we have. Because it's just the Xbox One, the PS4, they just seem the same. And like the only things I can really say that seems to be different about them is how they interact with social media. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. Yeah,
there are kind of small differences, but nothing too major. And the major stuff is relatively the same. And they're both kind of leaning to sort of similar controls as well. So, it's crazy how we got almost 3 months away from the Xbox One coming out. I'm not sure when the PS4 is coming out. I would think that it would come out relatively around the same time as well. But at this point, it not until like maybe Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out or The Witcher 3 will I probably purchase a new console. I probably will not buy one when it launches. I probably will wait until I get an idea when like Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out or The Witcher 3. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Witcher 3 is coming out on the Xbox One. But, it once again, this doesn't feel as big of a jump as it does with the Xbox, the 360, or the PS2 to the PS3.
No, it really isn't, no.
And also the Metal Gear Solid 5 is I'm sorry for calling me out on this, man, but it's coming out for this. It's coming out for this generation.
Is it?
Yes, they're trying to keep that kind of hush hush because I think they really want to promote the next gen. But it's Ground Zeroes is coming out just for this generation, and then Metal Gear Solid 5 is coming out for this and the next.
Oh man, it looks too good to be on this current gen, but
yeah.
I mean, because it can't be PC because they haven't put out any Metal Gear Solid game I'm aware of on the PC.
I assume they're using PS4 and Xbox One to sort of
damn it, deception.
Yeah, to show off their trivia stuff. I'm sorry, not trivia stuff, but like showing off their showing off all their kind of high technical stuff. But
yeah, like we mentioned, I mean, I think there's still enough enough life in these consoles, and these are about like 6 or 7 year old consoles, and you get these games like Last of Us, and quite recently I thought there were some really good visuals in Blacklist as well. So there's definitely a lot that
especially them teeths. See them teeth? They got teeth in
HD teeth and I still say that quite recently playing Lords of Shadow a while back. I think that's one of the best looking games at that time. When it came out, it's really a good looking game. Like they went all out, and the art design was really top notch. It's what really made the game look a lot better, and just it had a great presentation. So there's still a lot of things you can do presentation wise and on these current gen consoles. And you're right, there's really isn't much of a big leap, or feels like a big leap into these newer consoles. It's just more about features and more about slightly improved graphics that you can probably get on the PC. But even then, there's not a lot of complete creativity being delved out there to support these more powerful machines, so to say.
Yeah, and it's things like seeing The Last of Us, seeing BioShock Infinite, seeing even stuff like Hotline Miami. They show you don't need the big AAA multi-million-dollar budget presentation to actually get an excellent presentation going. Yeah.
So that answers that question.
Yes, indeedy. And so, do we have anything else? A way of asking questions?
No, that's about it. That's what we got for this week. I just try to get these tweets out here as soon as I can, and basically go ahead and answer them. So that's all we have for today. And if you ever have a question for us for another podcast, just be sure to either tweet me or CH on Twitter.
CH_Gorog and
right.
Splinter47 on Twitter.
That's right. You're getting into a little bit of not I wouldn't say rant, but some.
No. It's a rant.
It's a rant.
Don't like say like the Emperor's new clothes look great because he's actually naked. No, it's a rant. It is. Don't try to dress it up as anything else. It's not. This is foolhardy. It's basically just me just bad mouthing The Dark Knight Rises like recently. But
I did see that.
If you have any interest in checking that out, or I sometimes have some things to say about video games. Not a whole lot. Nah, it's joking. I occasionally do it, but then please check it out.
Yeah, check us out there, and be sure to give us a good review there on iTunes. It's nice to see some positive feedback. I'm always up for that. So iTunes, the usual links there. I guess will be on the show notes here. For the main probably location you can find us is either through our iTunes page. You just search Bloody Thumbs Podcast through there, or on our friends' site here, Podcasting Comrades in Arms at the Better Game Bureau at the bgb.com. They got a nice new site. Got a new site design going on there, so very worth checking out there. It looks good. Every time, I always mention to Anthony there, every time he makes an update to the site, it always gets better and better. It always looks good.
Absolutely. They always have a fantastic looking website, and they always have something interesting to say, and go check them out.
Definitely. So that's where you'll find us there mostly, and it's as simple as, if you don't want to go through that process, just Google us. It's very very simple as that. You'll most likely be on we'll be the first that comes up there as results. We got as far as when you type in Bloody Thumbs, it does fill in podcasts. So right next to Bloody Fridays. That's good.
And also, I bet the guy with the glasses review? He is pissed because he has a group called Blistered Thumbs, and I'm more than certain he tried to figure out Bloody Thumbs. Oh, is it taken? Oh, yes, it's taken. Buy these guys. Booyah.
I know. It's we lucked out on that one. Many moons.
Luck ain't got nothing to do with it. Destiny wanted us to have that name.
Yes, many moons ago when we decided that name there from the from the good old listener and back in the day, Jack Burton, who suggested that name there years ago.
Yes, indeed.
God damn.
It's been a long while, and we have a lot of good people still surrounding us with love and respect. And honestly, to this very day, we couldn't do it without everybody supporting us and for sending in questions and for participating in our contests and for just being awesome fans. So just thank you very much, and we love you all and appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. 100%. And also, if you're ever bored on a Friday, check out my stream on twitch.tv/SP_47. Someone took my name, unfortunately, so I had to resort to this naming scheme of a channel. I have a channel name. So Fridays,
there's a thief in the night.
Yes. So so far every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be streaming Deadly Premonition. #Deadly Fridays, folks.
Nice.
Last week, I found out a new way I never seen before to die while driving. If you don't believe it, you have to watch the stream. I was surprised myself that I could die in the car. It was surprising.
I don't even want to ask because I'm afraid I will spoil it for myself, but I'll go check it out.
Alrighty then. Couldn't ask any more there. So it's all good. It should be on my YouTube channel. youtube.com/Spooner47, and yeah, all that will be in our show notes if you're ever curious to go ahead and look that up there. So that'll be on there. And that's about it for the plugs here, folks. So I appreciate you all listening for this spooktacular episode of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. If only it was October, this would make sense. Episode 142, and thank you again there, CH, for joining me once more.
It is my pleasure, good sir.
So you all have a great day or night or afternoon or
whenever you are.
Belated day, who knows? Whenever you listen to this, we appreciate you listening, and you have a wonderful day too.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for joining us, and talk to you later.